Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel. My name is Space. I'm a professional yapper here on the internet. As you could probably guess from the thumbnail and title, this video is going to be about Poppy's Playtime, but more specifically about its monetization, or more or less the pricing of the game. This is something I don't see really anyone talking about, and I don't know if it's because they're not seeing the same thing that I'm seeing, or people just really don't care. So to provide a little bit of context for this video, the other day I was kind of in a horror game mood and was kind of just looking at what was available on Steam, and like I have been keeping up with Poppy's Playtime. I've been watching a bunch of different YouTubers play it. I was kind of curious to see how much it would have cost for me to get the entire game, just to see if I would enjoy it myself. So I go and I look at the pricing, and it's like $70 for the entire package. And I say $70 for me because I actually spent $5 to play what is now the demo. The free demo, might I add, which kind of sucks if I'm being completely honest, but that's, that is a different topic for a different video, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm still kind of salty about that, but it is what it is. Regardless, the thing that I really wanted to talk about in today's video was the pricing, and so I want to emphasize that that is the topic of today's video, is the pricing. I do not have any quarrels with this game apart from the fact that my $5 just got yoinked out of my hands. I got robbed blind. It is what it is. I can't, but yeah, this is not going to be a video of me critiquing Poppy's Playtime, even though there's plenty to critique. I know like the two most common at the current moment is the fact that this game is just puzzles and chase scenes, and a lot of people don't really seem to be a big fan of that. I personally am fine with the story. The gameplay looks decent, but of course this is coming from a position of me watching someone play the game rather than me actually playing it. So yeah, basically I'm just focusing on the pricing and how things are oriented at this current moment in time. Apart from that, I have no issues that like this video is not going to be just like drilling this game for no reason. So to kind of get us going, I wanted to sort of overview the pricing structure of this game and the way that this works, so that you have an understanding of what it is that I am talking about. So the first thing that you kind of need to understand about Poppy's Playtime is that, one, it is a story game. There's very little replayability. You legitimately play this game cover to cover, and there's a story that you can follow, kind of. It's kind of how FNAF is, where there's a lot of obfuscation, but nonetheless, it is still a story game that you can play cover to cover. Very similar to games like Bendy and the Ink Machine. You could kind of compare it to Uncharted in the way that there's chapters. So like apples to apples here would be Bendy and the Ink Machine and Poppy's Playtime, but that's besides the point. Point is, this is a story game. You play cover to cover. The game is incomplete without the entire story. As things currently are, the entire game is not complete. And I need to emphasize that because I do not know if in the future they plan on consolidating the price so that people can just put all their money and spend it once rather than having to buy each chapter incrementally. I genuinely just do not know. However, as things currently are, in order to play the game cover to cover with what they have so far, you have to buy DLC, which is the short for downloadable content, which means that you get the first chapter, which is like the demo, then you have to pay for the second chapter, then pay again for the third chapter, then pay a third time for the fourth chapter, and then pay a fourth time for the fifth chapter, which to me is very problematic. Now, like I said, I'm going to give benefit of the doubt to this game because it's not fully out yet, so a consolidation of the price doesn't quite make sense quite yet, but the way things currently are, the truth is this game costs the exact same amount as a AAA game. That is objectively true. In order to play all of the Poppy's Playtime content as it currently exists requires you to spend $70 or $65. $70 for me because, like I said, I bought the demo when it was the only thing that was available as it relates to this game. And so for the price of a full AAA game, you get an incomplete title. That to me is very problematic. And my concern for this is that we are going to see more of this in the future. We already saw it kind of with Star Wars Outlaws, where you basically had to pay, I don't remember if it was $100 total for the full game or if it was like $150. I know they had like 3 editions of that game which gave you additional content, but it's like the ability for you to enjoy the product that you paid for basically starts to become blocked by paywalls. Now, this will be the last time that I say it, but like I said, this game is not fully out yet, so I don't know if that can be completely applied here in this situation, because in the context of Poppy's Playtime, or the creators Mob, they are releasing their chapters incrementally so that they can get funds to continue to support this project, and so it really just comes down to them trying to be able to sustain and complete the game fully and still be able to, pay their bills and like eat and You know what I'm saying? Like, but my concern is we've already seen AAA studios attempt to do something similar where you basically DLC wall key parts or core parts of what should just be baked into the base game. And so this is more about the underlying issue that I have, where I don't want a future where the games that we play, the games that we buy, we are no longer able to get the maximum amount of value for the price that is given. I don't want to be buying each part of my game incrementally. Like, imagine if you bought Call of Duty and you bought the base game was $70, but if you wanted to play zombies, it was $10. If you wanted to play campaign, it was $10. And if you wanted to play multiplayer, it was also $10. So you have to buy DLC just to play things that should already be baked into the game, right? Because if we were to compare that to, let's say, Black Ops 1, for example, there was 4 DLCs, but the 4 DLCs only added content to the base game. You didn't need the DLC to actually play the base game, right? If you bought Black Ops 1, you still got the entire campaign. If you bought Black Ops 1, you still got multiplayer and all of the guns and all of the well, most of the guns. I think there was a couple that were DLC. Regardless, you've got the maps, a good amount of maps. You got Nuketown, which is like that's the only map that people play on nowadays as it relates to Black Ops 1. And then you also got zombies, which got you, I believe it was Kino der Toten 5 and Dead Ops Arcade. And so you still got a good amount of content without having to buy the DLC. And you got the DLC as like, oh, I want to play on these new multiplayer maps, or oh, I really want to play, you know, Ascension, or what was another really good one? Because Shangri-La, no one willingly buys that, surely. Moon was a really good DLC, actually. That's a fantastic example. The DLC that gave you Moon and all of the World at War maps was just an exceptional DLC. You got additional content, but you did have to pay for it. And so, like, I want to make it clear, like, I do not have a problem with DLC so long as it's providing additional content to the base game, not being a requirement to play the base game. Like, imagine if you were playing, I don't know, Pokemon, and you had to buy a DLC to, like, unlock a whole region of the map, or you had to buy a DLC to fight a gym leader. Nobody would want to play that game because the key and core function of the game, one of the key properties that is consistent with that genre and that title, relies on the fact that you're able to, one, be able to catch, I think generally it's over 100 Pokemon. You get to explore the entire map unrestricted, assuming you like complete the whole game. You defeat all 8 gym leaders and you beat the Elite Four. That is what those games sort of hinge on, right? They rely on those core mechanics in order for you to be able to have what is known as the Pokemon experience. Imagine they started paywalling each of those steps, making it more and more expensive for you to actually progress through the game. I don't want us to be getting to that point, and I don't want us to be taking any steps that get us towards that point. And that really just is my main issue. I don't want us to be getting closer and closer to a world where it's normalized that the products that we buy require additional purchases in order for those things to have any functionality, at least as it relates to video games, because like with certain things it kind of makes sense, right? If you buy a microphone, the microphone company, let's say like you're using a Shure mic, Shure shouldn't have to provide you with an interface, it shouldn't have to provide you with an XLR cable, it shouldn't have to provide you with the computer that is necessary for you to plug your device into, just so that you can actually use your microphone. I'm not saying that this can really apply to real world items, but I think in terms of digital goods, this absolutely has maximum application, because if I buy something, I want to be able to own that something. And so the company, in my opinion, that does this extremely well is Magix. They're the producers of SoundForge, which is what I use to record the videos, at least the audio for the videos. And then they also make Sony Vegas, which is a very well-known video editing software. And the way that they provide their service is if you buy, let's say you bought Sony Vegas 16, you will own Sony Vegas 16 for the rest of your life, so long as you have access to the key and your login information for Magix. And they make it really easy to change your credentials if you get like hacked or something. I don't know. Either way, you own that software forever, right? You own that key, you have access to version 16, but if you'd ever like to, let's say, use Vegas 21, you can always upgrade and they just charge you a new fee because you're now buying basically an entirely new product with completely different features. And that to me is sort of like, yes, on one hand, it's an update and an upgrade, but it also still kind of functions as DLC, because when you upgrade to a newer version, you get access to, let's say, things like more presets, you get access to more tools, you get access to different controls, different interfaces, you get access to a whole bunch of other features that quite literally were not present in the version that you previously had. And so that's kind of how software should be, is like you own that software, you own the version of the software you pay for, and you never lose functionality at any point. But if you want additional functionality, if you want additional features, you have to of course, pay them and pay to get your software upgraded. And then with video games, you want something similar where it's like, look, if you want additional features with your game, we're not going to take away anything from the base of the game, anything that's core and essential for the game to really be worth buying in the first place, but we're going to, if you want additional things, you have to pay for them. And so as for Poppy's Playtime, look, I'm going to be able to buy the entire game and be able to enjoy the story cover to cover. And then if, let's say, they want to come out with a DLC later that allows you to, I don't know, have access to 3D models or like the art or the soundtracks, the standard things that you kind of find on Steam, you absolutely should be able to have access to that, right? That should be well within reach. That, to me, is a much more acceptable way of doing DLC, and I hope it continues to stay that way, because that's kind of how things are. I know Poppy's Playtime, like I said, I know I said that was the last time I'd say it, but this game isn't fully out yet, so once again, still giving it the benefit of the doubt, because I believe Bendy and the Ink Machine did something similar, and now Bendy's only $20. So all this to say, I really hope we're not entering into an era where DLC is less about having additional content for the game, for fans of the game, but DLC is a requirement for you to be able to enjoy the product that you already paid for you to have access to the core features of the game. And so I thought that this would be an interesting talking point, an interesting video to make. Let me know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below. Once again, my name is Space. I am a professional yapper here on the internet, and then this is what I do, and I will talk to you all in the next video. God be with you.